Brazil is one of the largest and most populated countries on our planet. Like, I seriously forget how huge it is sometimes. And a country this big needs a capital city as well known as the nation itself. Of course, the capital city being the world-renowned city of Brasilia. Yep, this purpose-built city shaped like an airplane is actually the capital of the nation. However, of course, I feel the most renowned city of Brazil is Rio de Janeiro. Well, when I think of Brazilian cities, I think of Rio de Janeiro anyway. From Sugarloaf Mountain, its countless beaches, and Christ the Redeemer atop the city, Rio de Janeiro is one of those cities like London, Tokyo, and New York that everyone seems to know from just one glance. However, while people definitely won't be confused by pictures of this city, those who understand the city might end up being confused by its name. Why would this be the case? Well, Rio de Janeiro's name is something of a lie. To understand why this name is a lie, we need to look at what this name means and how it came about. The name Rio de Janeiro in Portuguese means River of January, and this name comes from its discovery. It was named by Amerigo Vespucci, whose name might ring a bell as he discovered the place on January 1st, 1502, hence where the Janeiro part of the name comes from, as this means January in Portuguese, and the Rio part of course means river. So why is this name a lie? Well, for those of you who may have been to Rio de Janeiro, you might know that despite how much there is in the city, there isn't a river, which kind of contradicts the name of this city. So why does this city without a river have river in its name? Well, for this we have some good old colonial confusion to thank. It's interesting as Amerigo Vespucci was actually pretty wise when it came to discovering new lands. He was the one that came to realize that the Americas, as they would later be called in his honor, weren't actually part of Asia but a whole new landmass. Despite realizing this, he wasn't clever enough to realize that Guanabara Bay, the city's large bay, was a bay, and instead thought it was the mouth of a river. Despite we now know that this certainly isn't the mouth of a river, the name has stuck around. Some argue, however, that while this name might sound silly now, when it was first dubbed Rio de Janeiro in the 16th century, it may have made more sense, as some linguists believe that at this time the name Rio didn't specify a river, but could be used as a name for any body of water. With a bay of water being a body of water, this does make sense. It's even more silly that the name of Rio de Janeiro is often shortened to just Rio, the river part of the name, and the part of the name that isn't even true. It'd be more sensical and keep the etymological inclined like myself happy if the city was shortened to just Janeiro, as that part of the name is true at least. But thinking of a name that would be more true to the city got me thinking, what would be a more accurate name for this city? The first thing that came to my mind was simply changing the Rio part of the name, which means river in Portuguese, to the word bay in Portuguese, which is Baía. Baía de Janeiro sounds nice enough and even keeps the same amount of syllables as Rio de Janeiro. Maybe not even being specific about what kind of body of water it is and just dubbing the city as Waters of January could be nice. In Portuguese this would be Águas de Janeiro, though Waters of January does kind of sound like the name of an overly dramatic soppy love film. When I read that the city's location was discovered not just in January but on the 1st of January, it got me thinking of places like Easter and Christmas Island, locations named after the day on which they were discovered. Perhaps Rio could be named in this sort of fashion too. New Year City could be a cool name for this place. In Portuguese this could be Ano Novos Cidade, or possibly Cidade dos Novos Anos. My knowledge of how Portuguese grammar works doesn't go much further than Google Translate. However, all of this is my own theorizing. I don't believe there's actually large support for Rio de Janeiro to go through a name change, just the ramblings of this one guy on the internet. What would you name the city? Rio de Janeiro was suggested by Pedro Marcelino Figueira and Grey Computer, and thanks to their suggestions, they will now be honoured as Name Explain's patron saints of Rio de Janeiro. Do you have a good idea for somewhere that's name could be covered in a Name Explain video? If so, then please consider donating on Patreon. Just $1 a month helps keep the channel running and earns you a weekly chance to suggest somewhere to be turned into a video, and you too could be a Name Explain Patreon saint. Thank you to all my patrons who support Name Explain on a monthly basis. Name Explain depends on small monthly donations from fans like you to help keep the channel running. Just a small amount of $2 a month helps in a huge way, grants you patron exclusive Name Explain extras, and gets your name here with all these awesome people. Thank you.